But anyway, he's won. He's been in Congress ever since, and he's a great pro-life champion. But a great example of thinking outside of the box. And that's what we have to do. Not only think outside of the box, act outside of the box. And that's what Paul Troyan is going to be talking about. Paul works for Created Equal, doing great work for the pro-life movement. And he's going to give us some of our ideas and things that he's already done, and things that we can be doing.
Over there.
Please welcome Paul Troyan.
You put it over there out of your way. That's, unless you want to move, wear it.
All right, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Jack, and the Defend Life activists for inviting me to come and share with you some of the things that I've been working on, things that I think will enable us to be more effective. The presentation that I'm going to be giving you today is called Exposing Abortion and Circumventing Censorship. And this picture was taken the Monday, I think it was June 27th, the Monday after the Dobbs decision came down. And like many of you, I wanted to seize on that day and to celebrate. And we went to the Supreme Court and took a picture. I'm standing there with my good friend Mark Harrington, who is the director of an organization called Created Equal. This is my contact information. I am a local activist here. I live in Mount Airy, Maryland, Carroll County, and I lead and conduct. Good.
Right there.
Okay. I lead and conduct anti-abortion activism on a weekly basis. And I do a lot of outreach with John Darnell, who just spoke with you, and we try to cover down on the Capital District region. So, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Maryland. And both of us, we lead outreach, and we need people to come out on the streets with us. We need people to help us expose abortion. And so if you live within 30, 40 miles from where we're at right now and you want to get after it and continue doing what you're doing this week, throughout the year, please let me know after this conversation. I'll get your contact information, and I will most certainly utilize your help. In addition to leading anti-abortion work here in Maryland, I also provide information operations consulting for Created Equal. And what that means is they give me a problem and I find a solution, utilizing generally technology to solve that problem. So if you want to take a picture of this slide, I'll bring it up a little later in our talk here. I'll write my information down, but please do contact me. So just to give you a little bit of brief background about me and how I got involved in this work, it all started when I was a junior in high school. I saw a video called Hard Truth. Has anyone ever seen that video? And I saw that video in high school, actually, and I was visiting the New York State Right to Life Committee and didn't realize what I was about to encounter. And that video shows abortion through first, second, and third trimester of pregnancy, and it also shows the persecution that the Operation Rescue movement went through in the 80s and 90s to save babies. And
I've got it. I've got it. Gentlemen.
It's hard to talk about that video because it changed my life. Thank you. And I saw that video, and it had such an important, had such an impact on me that when I decided to go to the University at Albany to pursue a degree in political science, I decided to volunteer or to do an internship with the New York State Right to Life Committee because they were the ones who showed me that video as a high school student. And the first task that they gave me as an intern was to bring the Genocide Awareness Project to my campus at the University at Albany. And I did bring that display to my campus, and for those who aren't familiar with it, it is an extremely large display that visually compares historical forms of genocide to abortion, Holocaust, slavery, Cambodian killing fields, Rwandan genocide, and it created quite a stir on my campus. After that, I bought my own signs, I started a club, and then when I graduated, I decided to go work for the Center for Bioethical Reform for 5 years. And I did full-time pro-life work. That's how I met John, that's how I met Jack. And in 2011, I took a job, I took a different career, chose a different career, and took a job within the Department of Defense. And so now I'm doing local pro-life activism, and again, I'm doing information operations consulting at this time for Created Equal. This is my family. This is my son Justice, who's 3, he's on my shoulder. My wife Anna, and my daughter Cora, who's 7. This is most certainly a battle for our future. The side that wants to perpetuate the dismembering, decapitating, and evisceration of preborn children are grooming their children to do that very thing. And as a parent, it's my responsibility to groom my children to fight against the evil of abortion.
Well said.
And thank you, Jack. And I do that through bringing people into my home, like radical activists like John Darnell, and people like Created Equal, their interns, their staff, so that my kids get an exposure to what it means to truly be a Christian, and not only a Christian, but an activist. The projects that I'm going to share with you and explain to you today are confidential in that nature simply because they haven't been officially released by Created Equal. So you're getting to see some of this before they release them. So I do ask that we don't put any of this on social media for that simple reason. And there is a real enemy out there who wants to destroy us. I just saw an article today where Elizabeth Warren is saying it's not enough to just call yourself pro-life. You need to call yourself pro-choice. You can't just call yourself pro-choice. You need to call yourself anti-pro-life because of anti-pro-life. Because we are extremists as pro-lifers apparently, and we are encouraging hatred. So there's a real enemy, and we don't exactly need for them to know about some of the things that we're planning to do. So I want to dive into briefly the problem that we face that we're trying to solve, and that is ignorance. The vast majority of Americans think that abortion in the first trimester of pregnancy, right here, should be lawful, should be legal. More than 60% believe abortion people should be able to attain abortions during the first trimester of pregnancy. This is a recent poll.
And that's barely changed in 30, 40 years.
That is true. That it's consistent. Even with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, public opinion still believes that abortion should be lawful. And it's simply because they don't realize how truly evil abortion is and what it does to the preborn. They just don't have an understanding. To them, abortion is an abstract concept. It's the lesser of two evils. And these people, this 61% is the reason why we have yet to abolish abortion. Some of these people are evangelicals, some of them are self-identity Catholics, some of them are secularists, atheists. It includes so many people, that 61%, and that is who we need to address. And that group of people don't generally want to go out of their way to learn the truth about abortion. They would rather it be out of sight, out of mind. I just was looking at a book that I think Joe Schuyler's son wrote on the wall over there about Joe Schuyler. And what you're doing today is because Joe Schuyler pioneered the use of abortion victim photography. It all really goes back to Joe Schuyler, and his legacy still lives on. And in the early 2000s, the Center for Bioethical Reform took that strategy, that technique, and took it to another level. Now they're putting signs in the air, aerial advertisements. They are putting large billboards on the sides of trucks, and they're bringing a display called GAP to hundreds of universities. And in 2012, Created Equal took this to another level, where they implemented the use of LED video technology called the Jumbotron, which actually shows abortion video and photographs, abortion victim photography, or AVP. There's two types of education. What you guys are doing this week is called non-consensual. It's a non-consensual type. But there's another type of education which is consensual, and it's usually, going to a website or having a speaker come, going to a presentation at a college, watching a movie. And then non-consensual is taking your message to a target audience who is not opting in and showing them and bringing that information to them. So like a demonstration, Face of Truth tours, college exhibits. The most effective type of education is non-consensual, simply because most people aren't going to come to a talk on a college campus from Kristen Hawkins or Abby Johnson or Charlie Kirk. They're just not going to show up. That 61% that I showed you isn't going to show up. The hardcore pro-lifers will show up, the hardcore pro-abortion people will show up, but that mushy middle, they're not going to show up, and that is why it's so important to utilize abortion victim photography like the way that you are using it this week. So the solution to ignorance is exposing abortion using AVP. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm preaching to the choir, but here's an example. Frostburg State University, about 8,000 students out in the Appalachian side of Maryland. We brought this Jumbotron to the campus, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students come by and they see this very, very disturbing victim photography. This campus is made up of many people who think it's okay to kill a baby in the first trimester of pregnancy. Abortion can't be ignored, it can't be trivialized, and the people that support this killing are put in a really bad position. They need to defend it, or they think they can defend it, and it's really hard when you're looking at a 15-week baby on the side of a 6x12 sign. Another example is when we brought this type of sign over here on the right to Howard Community College, which is right down the street. And students generally who will not opt in to learning about the truth of abortion are confronted with that truth, and it's a very harsh reality. And that was an awesome experience there. There was hundreds of students, even on a community college campus, that saw abortion, and we had many meaningful conversations where we could share with them truth about abortion, but we could also share the gospel. But as we recognize that this is effective, the reason why you're investing in this week is because you understand that victim photography is effective. The other side understands it's effective too. they get it. I wish more people in the pro-life movement would get it. I wish they would accept that AVP is the most effective tool, but the pro-abortion side does. And what you see here is a high school right down the street here in Howard County, Hammond High School. Mike and I went out there that day, and as soon as we showed up, these men right here who work, it appeared that they worked at the school, brought out tarps and bed sheets to cover up our signs. And on the right here, it's kind of dark, but you got two women here that are just local pro-abortion activists. I don't even think they had kids that attended that school, but they got the text or the post on social media that anti-choice activists were at their school and they came out to cover up the signs. This is a problem. To make matters worse, when we went to Wild Lake High School and Wild Lake Middle School, because middle schoolers have abortions, we just saw that on a national scale when the 10-year-old who was conceived through rape was taken to Indiana to have an abortion. They took it to another level. You can barely see my volunteer. She's standing right here. Her name's Teresa. She's about 5 foot tall, and she's got, what, 6 women surrounding her with umbrellas and sheets. And then you have me here being surrounded by more LGBTQ activists. The one lady here is holding the sign that says Black Trans Kids Lives Matter. You can't see it. So Baltimore Sun actually covered this. Very biased. So as you're seeing, we have a problem at the high schools when we bring victim photography. Colleges, they also censor this truth, but they take a little different approach. Hagerstown Community College, they say, you can come to our school, you can show your abortion victim photography, but it better not be any bigger than the size of a sheet of paper. How effective is that? Right?
Bring 1,000 pieces.
How effective is that? I can't bring that sign right there to Hagerstown Community College because it violates their policy, which is right there in front of you, and the Dean of Students reiterating it. UMBC, not too far from here in Catonsville, they take a little different approach. They say, yeah, you can come, you can reserve space, but you better pay $850. That's the price right there, $850 for free speech. They want to tax free speech. Who's got $850 just sitting in their wallet? None of us. Oh, you do? Come talk to me. Anne Arundel Community College, they said, yeah, you can come, but we don't have enough. The only space that we have is 7 foot by 7 foot. Right here. That's all they can let me reserve. Free speech apparently is the size of a table. I might be able to put one sign, but how effective is that? 7 foot by 7 foot. This is where I wanted to go, this huge grass area where that red circle is. We'll get back to Anne Arundel in just a minute. Towson. Right, Jack? Where you at? Towson. You know all about Towson. So Towson. All right, Towson. This is Towson here, the red outline. Right there in the middle, Freedom Square, that's where all the students congregate. That's where the free speech zone actually is. There's a walkway right here that goes all the way across campus. There's just hundreds and hundreds of students go by. That's where I want to bring this victim photography. Towson says, no, you can come, but that blue circle, that's where you can stand. It's ridiculous. Their designated demonstration area isn't even on campus.
Taxpayer funded institution.
That's right.
I did the Gap like almost 20 years ago when we first did Towson, and we were in the middle of it. And the students were coming by from all directions, and they were all freaking out. But so many of them saw it for the first time, and And one woman said she was so shocked by it, she said, I had 3 of those, never again. She went stomping off.
3 abortions?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So you bring an interesting point. These policies, these restrictive policies, are because we are an external user. We're not part of the community. A sponsor, sometimes it's less restrictive. But getting a sponsor on these campuses is hard for a couple of reasons. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to point that out. One, it involves there being a club that's willing to sponsor you. Most universities don't have pro-life clubs. Students for Life, they do have a representative in this area. Best of my knowledge, there's University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and College Park. They're the only ones that have a Students for Life club. But most of those clubs, so the problem one is most don't have clubs that would support us, that would sponsor us. The ones that do are not willing to use abortion victim photography. They are on our side, but they're not willing to expose abortion. So we've got gatekeepers now on our own side. And if we want to get on that campus, don't have a club, we have to get on a different way. And if the university is saying, oh, you don't have a sponsorship, you can only go to the designated demonstration area where all the weirdos go, that's not helpful to us. So problem, solution, this is a solution to censorship. All right, what you see right here. What you see right here is an example of a solution to the type of censorship that we are encountering here in Maryland and many other states as well. This is a bicycle billboard. What you see is something that I manufactured myself with just a little bit of material. This right here is just a normal trailer for children that parents will pull to children, and it's repurposed. A lot of the parts are removed, and there's some fittings and some aluminum connected. I got like maybe $300 into it, right? This allows me to get on universities. The reason why this is an effective tool is because the method alone generates a lot of attention. It looks weird. I mean, how often do you see a bicycle billboard, right? I've never seen one until I made one. But it allows you to take your message to your audience. You don't have to wait for them to come to you. You can access otherwise restricted or denied areas. And I'll explain to you some of my experience with that in a minute. It's a force multiplier. John and I know it's hard to get people out, and as well as Jack, it's hard to get people out on the streets. You don't have people, but this type of project can allow you to have almost the same effect as in having dozens of people. You can reach more areas. It's a replacement for people by necessity. That doesn't mean that people should not be coming out, but if you don't have people, you have to still get the message out. It's inexpensive. It allows you to be static, mobile. You can hand out literature. You can engage in dialogue. You are able to do so many different things. This is the first time I deployed this bicycle billboard. I saw Jack at the Maryland Right to Life event. They weren't super thrilled that I was there, but what's new? And I couldn't help but snap a shot of this mural with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's Thurgood Marshall, yeah. No allies. Towson University. So we've been to Towson a couple times. Remember, they want us off campus with a bicycle billboard after multiple encounters with the police. Now, when we show up, they designate a police officer on a bicycle to follow us around. We have our own protection
All right.
as a result of a bicycle billboard. And as you can see, one of my volunteers talking with a couple kids about abortion, and here she's riding it around We cover that entire campus. We're there for usually 2 hours at a time. UMBC, that location right there would cost hundreds of dollars. This is where students congregate in here, they congregate over here, hundreds of them while they're eating, and I'm there for free. Simply because I brought a bicycle billboard onto campus to get into a restricted area. And it's a bicycle, bicycles are permitted, everybody likes bicycles, it's eco-friendly. Yeah. You remember Anne Arundel, they said they only had enough space for a table? There's gigantic space here. They're lying. And yet here, I was able to bring a bicycle billboard on their campus for 2 hours and share this information with hundreds of students. So bicycle billboards are cool. They work, they're effective, but there's some other tools out there, such as a backpack billboard. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the signs. I just had them ordered from my sign guy, and they'll be here tomorrow. But this is a backpack, and this is a scrolling sign, and you're able to put whatever you want on here. You could have Jack Ames is, you know, the best guy in the world, you know, whatever you want. The worst guy. You put a billboard here. It's backlit, and then the billboard goes in front as well, like you see up there. And then there's a kickstand here, so it can be, you know, outside the abortion clinic. You got a sign. If you're at a college, university, you throw it on as a backpack and walk around with it. It's 20 pounds. Most of us could handle that. This is another tool to take it to the streets. I walk onto UMBC this coming fall, and I'm just wearing a backpack. Right? That's all it is, a backpack. See how that goes. I suspect that the police will respond very quickly, but at the end of the day, I'm not protesting. I'm not handing out, all I'm doing is walking around on campus. So it gets even better. These are all commercially sourced tools that are all very relatively inexpensive. I got, you know, less than probably $1,000 into this. That's $400. Let's talk about mobile LED billboards. This is a billboard truck out of a, maybe GMC, Chevy, F-150 pickup truck, where you connect to the hitch of the truck an LED billboard. There's a company that makes this, and you can also take it out and put it on a stand and roll that right onto a college campus, or put it right out in front of Planned Parenthood in Baltimore. Whatever you want to do. You hook a generator to it, and it powers. And I'm going to take you out in a minute. We're going to take a look at that. So, in conclusion, AVP, most effective tool we have. We need to use it in every aspect of our outreach. We need to emphasize the first trimester abortion. These signs right here, corrugated plastic, Created Equal makes them. They're super light, they're durable. We've got the knuckleheads on high school, we'll bend them in half, steal them from us, bend them in half, throw them in the dumpster, and they still work. And Mike knows from experience. As you can see from Joe Scheidler to CBR, Created Equal, we can never settle for what we've always done. We've got to keep progressing and looking forward. When we have a problem, we create a solution. And it may not be a 100% solution. The bike billboard is not a 100% solution, but it's a 70%. I'd love to get that displayed, you know, on the Towson officially. That is the best way. You reserve space, but if they're not going to play ball with me, if they're not going to work with us, then we have to use other means. We need to continue to innovate and utilize the technology, the commercially sourced technology that we have available. Stay effective, stay relevant, so that we can be the best ambassadors for life in this area. Again, this is my contact information. Please get a hold of me if you want to get after the issue of abortion locally and expose it. And I'd love to work with you, and I appreciate the opportunity. So before I open up to questions, I'd like to take you guys outside.
Go back. Great. Go back.
Yeah, I need that website.
Yeah, I'll leave that. That's my email and my phone number. I'll respond to that within 24 to 48 hours. There's another thing I wanted to show you guys. Nothing super amazing here, but this is a portable PA system. Now, historically, anti-abortion activists like yourselves will go to the streets with the bullhorns, and they work. They're good. They're loud, but they're not loud enough. I want that woman who's sitting in the abortion clinic on her phone, who's about to kill her baby, to hear you talking outside. And that's where this comes into play. As you can see, I don't need any power. It's got a battery. This thing will last 12 hours. It's super loud. You can hook Bluetooth your phone to it. You already have a prescribed message, a crisis pregnancy center, maybe hotline or information or whatever. You just Bluetooth to it. John and I have been testing these out with some of the outreach that we've been doing. But the intent for this is to reach the people inside, to be loud enough to reach them inside, and that is the hope that this can accomplish that. That's pretty much it for these tools. What I'd like to do before we conclude is to just everyone go outside with me. I'm going to show you this last project. We'll come back in, maybe take a 2 to 5 minute break, come back in, we'll open for Q&A, and then you guys will get on the road to